All right, in this video, I'm going to go over the 5-step pyramid to landing an ML engineering offer in 2026. Let's get started. So first, a little bit of proof. I have gotten offers from both Amazon and Google and multiple other AI startups in the Bay Area. If anyone's not showing screenshots of their offer letters in their content, I wouldn't necessarily trust it. So here is the biggest trap that people are falling into, and I see this with all of my clients: collectors versus builders. So most people have 1 to 2 projects on their resume, right? And they're following instructions, but they're never really struggling through those more difficult projects and those more difficult problems. And because most people are not willing to really struggle through those more difficult projects, most people don't have them on their resume or on their portfolio, and that's how you really stand out, right? And on the right, we have builders, right? They're really landing those top 1% offers, as corny as that sounds. Taking a paper, a raw data set, or an API and just creating something real, whether that's recreating a model from scratch or building something that has the chance to actually get users and actually turn into some kind of legitimate application. And builders don't wait for permission, they engineer solutions. You don't need permission to go ahead and start building these more advanced projects. And most students and new grads are building these cookie cutter portfolios, right? If your resume says that you built some sort of classifier using Kaggle data, it's going to be hard to stand out from 800,000 other applicants, right? Recruiters are spending 7 seconds reading resumes these days. And if everyone's got some sort of basic classifier using Kaggle data on their resume, your resume is simply going to blend in with every single other applicant. And even though it's typically a non-technical recruiter reviewing your resume, even if they don't even know what Kaggle or classifier is, if they're still seeing the same thing on everyone's resume, it's going to be difficult to stand out. So you need to do something different. And so level 1 of this pyramid is really just demonstrating some kind of proof of competence, right? You can't just learn machine learning, watch a couple of videos, take a class at your university. You do need to prove it, right? Because recruiters are really looking for evidence of applied engineering, something that has some sort of semblance of business value, not just theoretical knowledge. And so I want to give a little bit more proof here as well. And I won't go into too much detail. You can click the link in the description if you want to see more successful stories from my students and my clients. And so one of my clients, let's call him Jack, just to preserve his identity, he re-implemented an LLM from scratch, documented every failure and success, and also fine-tuned the model that he implemented. He ended up getting an offer from AMD. Another one of my clients, Aaron, again, there's more information at the link in the description. He fine-tuned an open source LLM, Llama, Meta's open source model, on a custom data set, and this really proved his ability to handle modern LLM tech stacks. And he ended up getting an offer from Amazon. So these are 2 proven projects that worked for myself and my clients. So this is really the project trinity, right? Level 1 of the project trinity, the number 1 project that I recommend to everyone, you've probably heard me mention it before, but I'll say it again, is recreating a research paper. There is no other project that is going to force you to go as deep into both theoretical and practical machine learning concepts. Moving beyond buzzwords, implementing a paper from scratch to prove that you understand the underlying math and architecture. 90% of applicants who don't have this project on their resume, so it will stand out. Second, fine-tuning an open source LLM. I've discussed this project before. I just went over it on the previous slide as well. If you can show companies that you can adapt a cutting-edge foundation model like Llama or Mistral to specific business use cases, that is going to stand out to both a non-technical recruiter and a technical hiring manager. And of course, building a RAG system or AI agent, I mean, this is just the holy grail. Majority of AI engineering postings these days are looking for this skill. People who can work with frameworks like LangChain and LangGraph and build some sort of agentic system. This proves that you can actually ship a full system that's going to mix software engineering with machine learning. All right, level 2 of this pyramid is what I call the 7-second billboard. You can have the best projects, the most cracked projects, open source contributions, but if your resume doesn't stand out, if it looks like a grocery list, then no one cares. And specifically, recruiters won't care because recruiters are spending an average of 7 seconds skimming over resumes. And that's if you can even make it past the automatic filters when a human will actually read your resume, right? And so your resume shouldn't be a biography, right? It really needs to be a marketing document designed to convert a skim into an interview. And let me explain what that means. So this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see students and new grads making. They overemphasize the technical details when talking about their projects and when talking about their experience. Now, don't get me wrong, you do need to emphasize your technical impact because that's how you're actually going to hit the keywords that you need on your resume to make it past ATS and actually have your resume stand out to a hiring manager. I'm not saying to not emphasize your technical impact, but a lot of students and new grads only focus on technical impact and they really forget the marketing aspect of a resume, really focusing on the quantitative impact and any impact to the business. And I'll give you an example of that on the next slide. First and foremost, really basic requirements that you need to meet. Keyword match. Do you actually have the keywords that are in the job description? And shipping proof, right? Is there any visual evidence that you've written working code? Either a link to a demo, a link to your GitHub profile, a link to that specific project on your resume. You've got to have some kind of proof. And so let me give you an example of how your resume really needs to be a marketing document. You want to optimize for impact. Instead of just talking about activities, you want to focus on impact metrics. And I cannot tell you how many clients I have had that after I rewrote their resume, this simple shift took them from 0 interviews, despite sending out hundreds of applications, all the way to multiple interviews in the coming days and the next week. And so before, you'll often see people describing their resume or describing their project as simply an activity, right? Developed an AI model for summarization using Python and LangChain. You'll see this on so many people's resumes. But after, take a look at the impact. Fine-tuned BERT for abstractive summarization, achieving a 20% Rouge-L improvement and deployed via Flask API to 50 plus active users. Now, it's okay if you don't have users for your projects, and it's okay if you're not even familiar with Rouge-L or BERT. The point I'm trying to make here is that you need to focus on quantitative impact in every single bullet point, or at least 80% of the bullet points on your resume. This is what recruiters are actually looking for in 2025 and 2026. And so there are 3 rules that I want you to follow for every single bullet point on your resume. Include numbers, speedups, and user counts if possible. Any sort of quantitative impact. And if you don't know the exact impact, it's totally okay to estimate. Rule number 2 is proof. Please link GitHub repos, live demos, or Loom videos like this one on your resume. There is a way that you need to format that for ATS to make sure it's ATS compliant. And if you're interested, I can make a video on that as well. But you do need to include proof on your resume so that recruiters don't think you just made up the project. And then rule number 3 is skimmability. Use bold keywords, keep the bullets short. You need to make sure that a non-technical recruiter and a technical hiring manager can actually understand your resume. And that is difficult because you're trying to impress 2 different people with 2 different backgrounds, but it is possible. Next, level 3, you've got to stop networking like an NPC. It's not just about building projects. It's not just about optimizing your resume. You do need to network to really optimize your chances of succeeding in this new grad recruiting cycle. And so cold messaging recruiters with "can you refer me" is a complete waste of time, right? To get referrals without a network, without any crazy family connections, you do need to lead with value. And first, that means targeting engineers and not recruiters. Now, cold emailing recruiters and hiring managers is possible, and if there's interest, I can make a separate video on that, but you do need to prioritize reaching out to engineers on LinkedIn instead of recruiters. And that's because these are the people doing the job you want, right? You're on the same level as them, you're in the same field as them. They're really your peers and your future teammates. And so they remember what it was like to really be a struggling student or a struggling new grad trying to land that first offer. So they are way more likely to respond and help you out compared to a recruiter. I do see a lot of people cold emailing recruiters and hiring managers, and this can work, but start with engineers instead of recruiters. Engineers at the companies you want to work at. Second, engage with their work, right? Don't just send them hi or hey or some sort of generic message when you reach out to them on LinkedIn, right? Take a moment to actually read any blog posts they have. Click on their portfolio if it's linked on their profile, and ask some sort of intelligent, specific question that shows that you've actually done your homework, you're personalizing your message, and you're not just sending the same message to 100 people in your network begging for a referral. And then third is the value first DM, right? Compliment their specific work. There'll probably be at least 1 to 2 sentences on their profile about their past work. Take a moment to read that, understand it, and then compliment it, right? Lead with some sort of value, right? Give something that they want to hear, right? And then ask for a 15-minute chat based on whatever shared interests that you two have. And then only ask for the referral after establishing your competence, whether that's sharing how many leak code questions you solved, actually sharing a link to your portfolio, just leading with some kind of value and then establishing some kind of competence. Do not directly ask for the referral in your very first message when doing doing outreach on LinkedIn. This is the big mistake that I see a lot of people making. And the reason for that is because engineers at a company will generally get a bonus if you get hired through their referral, right? So they only want to submit a referral for you if they think you have a good chance of getting hired. That means mentioning how many LeetCode questions you solved so that they know you have a good chance of actually passing the interview if their referral gets you an interview, right? That means including a link to your portfolio. Just establishing some sort of competence instead of just going directly to asking for a referral will dramatically improve the effectiveness of your outreach. All right, level 4 of the pyramid is interview preparation. Now, most people think interview preparation is about grinding 100 LeetCode questions and preparing for generic behavioral questions like, tell me about yourself. And don't get me wrong, that's important as well. But what really matters is your invisible resume. And I've talked about this in other videos and I'll emphasize it again. If you can't confidently teach your project, explain it to your interviewer, you don't understand it. Interview prep isn't just LeetCode, it's more about your communication, practicing how you present yourself and how you explain your projects. So here's the common mistake. Most candidates freeze whenever they're asked the question, walk me through your most complex project. Could you answer this question succinctly in the next 1 to 2 minutes right now? Ask yourself that. And they stumble because they often copied code without really understanding the why, as corny as that sounds. And so the invisible resume is as follows. First, building the skill, right? That's level 1 of the pyramid, creating a project that solves a real problem, whether that's something that has business value, something that could actually impact customers, or simply re-implementing a research paper from scratch. Second is publicizing it, making a LinkedIn post about it, putting it up on your GitHub profile, even creating a demo and posting it to YouTube, actually explaining it to other people. And then finally, positioning it and really framing your project when asked about it in an interview as a solution that's relevant to the company's challenges. This is the invisible resume. And level 5 is accountability. Now, if you're watching this video, I know you. You watch videos like this about projects and recruiting and how to more effectively do LeetCode all day long. So information is not your problem. You've consumed enough information at this point. You need to take action. Implementation is your problem, not a lack of information. You don't need another course. You've read the Medium posts, you've watched the YouTube videos, so why don't you have an offer yet? It's because doing this alone is letting you make excuses. You're struggling with implementation, not information. And so here's the solo struggle. I'll build that project later. I'll apply to more postings tomorrow, or I'll do double tomorrow. I'll apply to 10, 20 more positions next week. And you don't get any feedback on which roles you're applying to because half of them ghost you. You don't get any feedback on how you would actually do in an interview, and you don't have any feedback on your projects. So what's the advantage of mentorship, right? What's the other alternative? Getting immediate feedback on any broken code in any of your projects, having a line by line by line resume rewrite, and mock interviews that simulate the real deal. Because information is not your problem. You don't need another course, you don't need more YouTube videos, and you don't need more Medium articles. Here's how you can turn potential into proof. This part is critical. The engineers that you see working at your dream companies, whether that's a Fortune 500 company, whether that's a startup, whether that's a big tech company like Google or Amazon, I promise you they're not geniuses. They simply have had a system, guidance, and accountability. That last part is important. Again, step 1 is building real projects. I've said that so many times throughout this video, I don't think you need to hear it anymore. Second, fixing your resume, optimizing your bullet points based on those 2 examples I provided earlier in the video, right? Do you remember the unimpressive bullet point and the more impressive one? And then third, get mentored, right? Stop guessing and start executing. Really having feedback from someone who's done it on your resume, on your interview skills, and on your projects. If you're tired of getting ghosted, and if you're ready to actually do the work, then apply to work with my team and I. We're a team of ex-FANG and current FANG engineers, and we will personally rewrite your resume, help you with networking to secure you 10 plus referrals, and run you through as many mock interviews as you need. We will rebuild your projects, we will rewrite your resume, and we will turn your effort into offers. If that sounds fair enough, click the link in the description. You can book a free strategy call with me where I'll assess your strategy and give you a game plan to turn this recruiting cycle around. Look forward to talking to you soon.